No matter how much hype surrounds the Oklahoma Sooners, they're still being underrated.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins over at FanDuel.com. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. Go check out his work over at Unfair Sports. Subscribe to that channel. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire at USA Today Sports. We're going to talk through Friday fan feelings. We're going to discuss your thoughts on the Oklahoma Sooners 1 week into fall camp. The Oklahoma Sooners land a surprise commit in the 2027 recruiting class. We'll discuss that in segment 2. But let's start here, Jay. ESPN released their tiers rankings for all 136 teams in the Football Bowl subdivision. And the Oklahoma Sooners came in tier 3.
Yeah, David Hill put in some work here. And so tier 1, you had Ohio State and Texas. Tier 1A. 1B is Georgia, Oregon, and Penn State. So you got Texas in tier 1A, Georgia in tier 1B. And then tier 2 is Alabama, LSU from the SEC with Clemson, Miami, Michigan, and Notre Dame. But then tier 3 comes in, and tier 3 is a very interesting tier, John. When you look at this tier, you ask yourself, wait a minute, it's literally 6 SEC schools, and the headline is someone in the SEC has to lose games, which I think is a fascinating one, that Oklahoma's in there with the Floridas, with Ole Miss, with South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas A&M, because they're right. Somebody's got to lose the games, but the question is, who's going to be the one to lose them? So you have Alabama and LSU in the tier above. So, okay, that'd be 2 losses for Oklahoma. Then you have Texas a tier above that at 1A. Okay, there's 3 losses. That's it. So if you've got Oklahoma lined up with everybody else that could lose, then they kind of make it seem like Oklahoma could be the one that wins those games?
Yeah, just assuming that Oklahoma is going to lose to anybody other than those teams above them, and even assuming that they're going to lose to those teams above them, to me is projection. It's basing what Oklahoma is going to be off of what happened last year. And It's a totally different team. It's a team with a good defense once again, and a team that's going to have a good offense like it should. It's a team that's going to be healthier than it was last year. It's going to be a more complete football team. You want to put them in tier 3 because of the unknown? Sure, I get you. Fine. But because someone has to lose, I think we're absolutely underrating Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, I think that is a definite underratement when you say that. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody has to lose, you're pointing more towards the Missouris, the Tennessees, the Auburns, like – these are the teams that are going to lose games.
Should.
Oklahoma is going to continually – they're going to rise to the occasion. They're going to surprise people because they're still being underrated. Again, left out of the coaches poll. Wouldn't surprise me if they're left out of the AP poll because everybody wants to hedge with this idea that Oklahoma is not a good team because of the schedule. They're a good team, and they're going to rise to the occasion of what the schedule is, and they're going to meet those expectations. Now, to me, the difference is going to be whether they're 9-3, 10-2, or 11-1. That's where we're going to find out what Oklahoma is. And that is just a matter of going and playing football games. But I feel like all of that's on the table for this team in 2025. And I would put them, if you're putting them in that same tier with South Carolina and Ole Miss and Tennessee, they're above those teams, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you there. It's just interesting that there's so much fluctuation in the assessment of Oklahoma by a lot of your writers, your analysts, your talking heads. It's a lot of back and forth, and everybody's reasonings. I put it this way: the naysayers about Oklahoma seems like their reason is the exact same. That schedule is going to be
schedule.
gruesome. But they're not really talking about the opposing teams and what they've got to do in order to win said game. But those that have been propping up or promoting Oklahoma heavily, the one thing you notice is they pointed out that, hey, this defense was good last year. It's going to be good again. They've got majority of those players back because they have one of the best defensive lines or front sevens in the country. So that's going to help them a lot there. The secondary, if it's healthy, it'll be even better than it was last year. And that was the Achilles heel of the defense, if you really think about it, because of health. Mm-hmm. And they went out and fixed the problems they had. Quarterback, play calling. Could use another running back, would be great. A whole new wide receiver room. And a kicker. Somebody mentioned it in my comments not too long ago. Good point. We struggled with kicking. Guess what? We went and got a kicker that made 19 of 20 shots under 40 yards. So, John, when you look at the people that say Oklahoma's going to shock everyone, they're all pointing out the exact same thing, that Oklahoma went and answered all the questions they had last year. Now we need to see the offensive line show up. But those that are naysayers are only pointing out schedule, but not talking about the opposition. It's pretty interesting, right?
And we're only looking at the opposition relative to what they did a year ago.
Yeah.
And if you look at a team like Ole Miss, that's a completely different team than the team that Oklahoma was leading at halftime. Like that was a much better Ole Miss team than what's rolling into 2025. And Oklahoma was, again, leading that team at halftime. This Missouri team was a much better team last year than what is going to be this year. Tennessee, better last year than what we're going to see this year. South Carolina, a more complete team than what we'll see this year. Are they going to be a good team? Yes. Lenora Sellers, a good quarterback? Yes. But they're not as complete of a football team as they were in 2024. So everything is flipped. There's a chance that Oklahoma goes and beats all the teams that they lost to a year ago. Now, there's a chance that they lose to Alabama on the road in Tuscaloosa. There's a chance that they lose to LSU at the end of the season, depending on what their health status looks like if their defense takes a step. This Oklahoma team, Brent Venables said it, and I buy into it, and I believe him. They do have a chance to win every single game on their schedule. That doesn't mean they will win every game on their schedule, but they're going to be in each and every single one of these games. So this is a team to me that has SEC title contender written all over it, but is still going to fly under the radar until they get through Red River, and how they perform in Red River will be the test that determines what this team's going to look like over the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think the fascinating thing with that is, too, and you mentioned it, they led Ole Miss at the half. You know that this team led in 9 games at the half and only finished out with 6.
Just crazy, man.
Just fall apart in the second half. That's just kind of the tradition. Felt like,
and that's what happens when you don't have an offense that can keep the momentum going, and you don't have depth, and you don't have consistency, and you don't have experience. When games get tight, everything that might have been working well for you in the first half, it starts to fall apart and crumble because of the lack of experience, the lack of talent, and the lack of depth.
Yep. And we felt that. But the good thing is that I think a lot of those problems may have been solved.
Yeah, it really does seem like that, because we talk about the offensive line. It is a deeper unit. It's a more experienced unit. The guys in your 3 deep have experience. I mean, if you're looking at Logan Howland as your 3rd string left tackle, because Michael Fasusi seems to have solidified that 2nd string left tackle spot, along with Jake Taylor at right tackle. I mean, you've got a lot of experience in your 2nd string.
Yep.
You have some experience in your 3rd string. So this isn't the same offensive line situation that you ran into a year ago when, hey, if you got to go to your 3rd string guy, that dude's got 0 collegiate snaps to his belt, and he's going to get schooled by that Ole Miss defensive front. That's the reality. But it's a completely different situation going into this next year. Now, are those guys talented enough to hold up for 6 weeks under SEC pressure? Maybe not yet. If you're relying on your 3rd string, you've got those big problems again, but you're not going to go through the same situation again. You're deeper at wide receiver. You're deep at running back. You've got a quarterback that has that it factor. It's going to give Oklahoma a chance to do some really big things this year. It all starts week 2 with Michigan, but through SEC play, I think they're going to be one of those teams that flips the narrative as SEC play goes along. And they're like, man, We really underrated Oklahoma in the offseason.
Yeah, we'll see if they admit it.
They won't. It's all the people hedging. Like, oh, I thought they were a good team, just wasn't sure how they were going to manage the schedule. That's all we're gonna hear. But no, we've been telling you they're a good team and they're going to handle the schedule. It's going to be fine. We'll have our predictions for Oklahoma as the offseason rolls along and get closer to the regular season and give you our official predictions. But just know we're feeling really confident about this team. The Oklahoma Sooners got their first commitment in the 2027 recruiting cycle. Let's discuss who that is coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you are at the baseball and the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more, thrilling? FanDuel can get you in the game while your friends are out there getting themselves sunburned on the beach. And like right now, we've got we've got preseason NFL football. So you've got that going on today. And FanDuel's always got some great promotions going on. The app keeps things fresh. New promotions and fun ways for you to jump into bets. You can jump in with like same-day parlays, or you can watch your bet ride to the ninth inning if you're into the baseball side. FanDuel does everything possible to get you into the action. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going to go through your Friday fan feelings in the third segment, discussing how you feel about the Oklahoma Sooners 1 week into fall camp. If you've got a Friday fan feeling that you'd like to share, make sure you drop it in our YouTube chat over on Twitter or on Facebook as well. And we'll go through some of the best ones each week here on the show. The Oklahoma Sooners got their first commit in the 2027 recruiting class. This one, Luke Wilson, offensive tackle from South Lake Carroll, a Dragon becoming a Sooner.
Came out of nowhere. Like, I wasn't prepared for it, but I saw the graphic drop, and I was like, where'd this come from? Talked to my guy Coop, and Coop had spoken with him. He had decided last night that he was ready to be all in, called Coach Bill Beatonbow, let him know. And, he came up for one of the BV camps, and that's when he was just sold on not only the staff, Jim Nagy, and I think Jim Nagy was really pressing for him. He was a player that he wanted. He's got the measurables you're looking for an offensive lineman that's got that prototypical, capabilities. He says he wants to be over 300 pounds by the time he gets here. He's about 280 now, but he's 6'7", John. He's a giant. So you add another giant out there at tackle. Sign all of us up. We would love to have somebody like this. And now we just need to see him shape out as a player, and I think he's going to get there.
Currently an unrated prospect, but give that time and he will start to get some ratings from the recruiting sites and find himself among the stars. He's got blue chip potential, in my opinion, and he's got a year and a half to prove it at the high school level. He's got 2 more seasons of high school ball before he can enroll with the Sooners, assuming he stays committed that long.
Yeah.
But
Fair.
This is a guy that it reminds me a little bit of the Ryan Foje recruitment. Ryan Foje was an unrated prospect when he went to Brent Venables football camp in the summer of 2024 or 2023, I guess.
Yeah. 23.
Yeah.
It was early 23. It's like beginning of the year.
So long ago.
And
got his offer actually in August of that year. Committed to the Sooners later in the winter time.
It was like February.
And by that time, he was only a 3-star prospect and really started to see his recruitment take off. But this kid has the same potential in my mind. You mentioned the frame. He's got offensive tackle frame to him. I really like the way that he moves. He moves well. He shows good strength. He has good footwork. And he's a dude that's getting a lot of snaps at left tackle. And that's an encouraging thing. He's going to have a lot of experience. And that South Lake Carroll Dragon team, I mean, that's a good football program to be recruiting from. So it's an intriguing prospect. We'll see how he continues to develop. If he's able to get to 300 pounds by the time he gets on campus, that would be absolutely huge. Then it's a matter of just shaping his body and then working on getting him up to 320 and getting him to a better playing weight. But I like the potential. I like what he's got to work with. And again, if Bill Bedenbow is identifying this talent at the BV football camps, I'm encouraged, very, very encouraged about what this guy can do.
And that's what you got Jim Nagy and that staff for. They start to identify some of those players that the coaches say, hey, I like this guy. What do you think? You look at him like, he's got all those measurables. I remember Nagy said this when we went through, did the interview, when I interviewed him at SC Media Days, and he said that the one thing that they didn't do a lot of was the measurables, like, heights, weights, doing all of that stuff at the actual camps. They bring them in, run through some drills, get an understanding of the skill set, and then they be like, all right, you can determine if it makes sense to give them an offer. He's like, but they're doing more of the combine type stuff now. And because of that, they're able to identify kids like, oh, okay, you're this tall, but you got this type of wingspan. So you're like 6'2", but you got a 6'8" wingspan. That means you got some freakishly long arms. Yeah, we need to go ahead and put you on this roster because you'll have an advantage. And depending on the position that they play, if it's an interior guy and they got little arms, make you a little nervous because they can't get that punch up, right? But, you see Luke and you see him, the way he moves on that offensive line, like you said, he does a great job of moving for his size. He can get out there and he can seal those blocks on the edge very well, especially from his tape. He got some long arms. So that means he can probably get a hold of somebody from a distance and prevent them from being able to get their move off, which is a pretty big deal. It's kind of the stuff that you're looking for. And so when we talk about NFL measurables, just elite characteristics and measurables in general, Luke has that. And like you said, I give him by the end of this year, he'll be rated at minimum 3-star, and I can see him flying up the 4-star ratings with no problem.
Yeah, has offers from Florida State, TCU, several other schools in the state of Texas like UTSA, UTEP, Arizona State is also interested. And if Kenny Dillingham is interested, I'm interested.
A lot of y'all like Dillingham. A lot of y'all do. And his brother plays at James Madison.
So this is a very, very intriguing cat. And I think he's going to be one of those players that as the fall of 2025 goes through the season and he's getting junior tape out there, that more schools are going to try and see if they can get in on this recruitment and maybe lure him away from Oklahoma because, again, got big-time size, big frame, and he's going to be somebody that has big-time offensive tackle potential at the next level.
I need to look at this up. I was wanting to look this up. I remember I saw on his profile on social media on X, the expert, that he had his wingspan. He has an 81-inch wingspan. I don't know. I honestly don't recall seeing or hearing about a player having an 8 in front of the number of the wingspan that they have. 81-inch wingspan, John. What? 6'7", 290 is what he's listed himself at now. And he did say he plans on being well over 3, hopefully by 310 by the time he gets to campus. But an 81-inch wingspan, John? 81 inches.
So for comparison, Tyler Guyton was 82.25.
Jesus.
So that's
they're about the same height.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I can't find Anton Harrison's. I'm curious about it. Looks like Lane Johnson, 85-inch wingspan. That's what I'm seeing here.
Goodness gracious.
But still, you get over 81 inches and you're looking at a really good measurable. And again, you're just a sophomore in high school going into your junior year. There's still potential for growth. Like your growth is not necessarily done just yet. Now you probably don't want to necessarily get him much taller, but if he can fill out more and those arms get a little bit longer, I think that will definitely benefit him. But anything above 80 is going to be really, really good to playing tackle at the collegiate level and then maybe even beyond. But good athlete, good size, looks really, really strong. Again, for a sophomore in high school, going to continue to physically develop. So there's a lot of potential here with Luke Wilson. First commit of the 2027 recruiting class. certainly not the last. We'll have you covered on all of it here on Locked On
Craziness.
Sooners. Make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Friday fan feelings coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. Who's feeling it? Who's not? We'll discuss. Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, we've got 3 pretty good Friday fan feelings here, and I want to go in order of the most negative to the most positive. So we'll start with this one because it made me laugh when I read it. This one comes from Freeman Reed 5228 over on YouTube. He says, "Doomed! Doomed, I tell you, we are doomed. Hopefully Nick Saban can rebuild the team next year." I don't know if he really feels that way or if he's trolling, but it just made me laugh.
That's a good troll. I actually appreciate the fact that he said Nick Saban can come rebuild the team next year. That's actually quite hilarious. And it feels like we're all getting into the feelings that we're getting from a lot of the fans. It's all mixed. You're going to get people that are going to be believing one thing, some believe another, some that's going to believe. It's all over the place. I kind of enjoy it now. I kind of like that everybody's now discombobulated.
Yeah, the energy is weird right now because you have a lot of people that are still really, really positive. You have some, like me earlier this week, that was maybe a little bit freaking out about some of the injury notes that we were getting out of fall camp. And you have others that are still positive. And then you have this one that comes from Plains Roamer 405. And he says, "Ask me again when there's 2 minutes left in the Michigan game. I'll know how I feel then." Remember, the question was 1 week into fall camp, how you feeling? Plains Roamer says, "Just let me know when there's 2 minutes left on the clock, week 2.
Yeah, we need football to help and get here. For a lot of these fans, they're not trying to, say or hear anything. No, all they want to know is give me some football and then talk to me after the second game, not the first game, but the second game when we're playing against an opponent that we feel is formidable. Yeah. And now we know what this team is going to actually be, which, I respect that. I respect the mindset of, I want to talk to, come ask me how I'm feeling when we're deep in this Michigan game. And I'm kind of getting closer and closer to that point too. I know the Illinois State game is going to be fun to watch because it's going to be a great way for us to be introduced to a lot of players. But for the most part, Michigan is the one that everybody wants to see. Yeah. We know there's great chance that game day is going to be there. And since that's a very big possibility, I want to see the Sooners show out against what we expect to be a really good defense. And we want our defense to show up against a new formed offense with a new coordinator and a freshman quarterback. We want to go out there and dominate. We do that, 2 minutes left, Plains, we're going to hit you up.
Yeah. Yeah, and if this offensive line goes out and performs against that Michigan defensive front, I think it'll have everybody feeling really good about the rest of the season. Because that's going to be obviously a huge test for Oklahoma. And if that offensive line can hold up, and I'm not saying they got to rush for 250 yards and Mateer's got to pass for 300 yards. I'm just talking about the guy has opportunities to make plays. Jaden Knott has opportunities to make plays. It might be a slugfest. It might be one of those 14-13 games or a 20-17 kind of a game where you're maybe not putting up a bunch of numbers, but if your offensive line is not getting your quarterback killed and it's creating some opportunities for your running backs to get some yards, that's a positive step in the right direction, because that wasn't the case last year.
It really was not. But hey, if you go out there and, let's put it this way, if you go out there and do what Texas did last year to Michigan at home, and Michigan's already ranked, in the coaches poll. Mm-hmm. I know that for the most part, in a lot of the analysts and a lot of AP voters, they don't have Michigan very high on theirs. But look, if they're going to end up being ranked, Oklahoma should be ranked, so it should be a ranked game for both of them. Oklahoma goes out there and dominates. Good chance that that looks very good for the pollsters, and we'll see how that happens in week 3. And then we get another matchup in week 4 in conference that really tells a lot. It's gonna be a roller coaster. It's gonna be a roller coaster, folks. It's gonna be a roller coaster, and I'm ready for it. I am ready to be hurt again.
I think it's just going to be that opening part of Mr. Freeze at Six Flags over Texas, where you're just going straight up. Like, that's the roller coaster Oklahoma's going to be on this year. You're going to go up, 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 and you're going to feel like you're going up forever. We're going to be riding high. All right, this one comes from one of our everydayers, Robert, over on YouTube. He says, they're going to surprise the nation if they can stay healthy. I've been on the practice field twice. They look the part.
Oh, I like hearing that. He's been on the practice field, and he feels like they look the part. I'll take it. We saw, who was that? Michael Hawkins Sr., former player of Oklahoma, father of Michael Hawkins Jr. He's gave a raving review recently. So now that you're hearing these, John, how do you feel now that because yesterday was the off day? How do you feel this Friday about the team now?
I mean, I still feel positive about it. I'm like Plains Romer, and I want to see what they do against Michigan before I'm just sold on this thing. But I feel like they've answered all the offseason questions. They've answered all of the issues that they had last year. Now it's just a matter of going and playing football and putting what's on paper on the field and performing. And if they go out and they perform, they're going to have a chance to win a lot of games. And if they, again, it comes back to this. The defense is going to be good. We know that. And if the offense is respectable, Oklahoma is going to be in every single game.
How many games do you think the Sooners will actually lead at the half?
I mean, if they led 9 games last year at the half, dude, I mean, I think it's possible they have as many. I also think it's possible that maybe they aren't leading in 1 or 2 more, but find a way in the second half to come out on top. You know, I don't necessarily expect them to lead at half in every game, but they're going to have a chance, dude. You know, this is an offense that's going to be able to put up some numbers. They're going to be able to put up some points. Again, it comes back to just playing complementary football. The defense kept Oklahoma in a lot of games last year. I mean, they got blown out by South Carolina. They got blown out by Texas. The rest of it, I mean, Oklahoma was in all those games until the second half of LSU. Oklahoma was in that one. So it's hard for me to look at this schedule, which I think is worse than last year, and this team, which I think is better than last year, and think that Oklahoma is going to struggle. That, to me, that's irrational. It's illogical.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And when I look at it, too,
being better.
Yeah, Oklahoma, to me, 10 games. 10 games this year, Oklahoma should be leading at the half. That doesn't mean they're going to win all of those games, but I do believe, and honestly, if they're down at the half, I doesn't mean they're going to lose those games either. Nope. I do believe, though, that they have an opportunity to lead at minimum 10 games at the half. Like you said, the teams we're playing against are not better. They're actually a dial worse. Doesn't mean that they're terrible teams, but they're a little bit back in comparison to what they were last season, mainly with quarterback play. A lot of quarterback changes. So for me, my feels, honestly, as I've gone through and we had the day off, I feel a lot better that we're slowly getting past the injury bug early, and we're getting snaps from a lot of the young players to where we'll know where they are once the season hits. Because that's going to be the most important thing. Yep. You need to know where those players sit, and you got to see how they've absorbed the playbook, especially the new playbook, especially the offensive side of the ball. How they're absorbing the playbook, how ready they are to play when their number is called. That way they can go out there and perform, because we don't want a situation like last year where you're throwing a whole bunch of dudes out there and, quite frankly, they weren't as prepared because they probably shouldn't have gone that deep in the depth chart. Now they've got the experience, they've seen the field, they've gone through and they've had their struggles, and now it's about time for them to be ready to, all right, time for me to take over. Time for me to go in there. If my number's called, I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah. And they're going to be able to do that, especially at wide receiver, a whole lot better than they did last year because there's so much more
100%.
experience than what there was last year. So, again, we're feeling good. I know you're feeling good, most of you at least. Some of you taking a wait-and-see approach. Totally understand that. Get it. I'm kind of in that mode too. Taking a wait-and-see approach, I think is fair. But if you're gonna nail me down on a prediction at some point, and I'm gonna have to give it to you because that's what you're here for, and that's what I'm here for.
You're here for them takes.
That's right. And so we will get that prediction to you at some point before we get to game week 1, which is just a few weeks away. And when that first game week hits, oh man, it's going to be like Christmas. It's going to be like Thanksgiving. It's going to be like that green bean casserole coming out onto the table, piping hot. And we're going to be so ready. And that's going to do it for today's
green bean casserole?
Yes.
He picked green bean. Of all things to select, you picked green bean casserole.
Let me just tell you about my grandma's green bean casserole, my man. Okay. It comes in and this is not Thanksgiving time, so we might have to rehash this, but it comes in a beautiful ceramic dish, piping hot, with the French fried onions on top, and it just hits hard every single time because grandma knows how to make it. I know you got something that grandma makes that is just special.
Some good hot pecan pie. I miss those.
There we go.
All right. Let me talk about
Hope
food.
everybody enjoys their weekend. Go eat something that's yummy and delicious. Reminds you of grandma. That's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on every podcast platform and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button to let you know when new episodes drop. And again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. For your second listen of the day, go check out the Portal Show with Brian Smith. He's got the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend. Boomer.
Sooner.
Now I want some pecan pie.